Hey everybody, this is Chris. Thank you for tuning into the channel again. I Am Toys. Make sure you hit the 4K option on your browser, as I usually always tell you, so you get this in full resolution. Unfortunately, if you're watching this from your cell phone, some cell phone plans will actually max you out, cap you at 1080p. So if that's the case and you're not getting the option on your phone, I apologize. Save it and watch it when you get home or something like that, the computer, iPad, whatever. But either way, make sure you do that so you get this in all its glory. This is the 3.0 Optimus Prime, the DLX series model that is made by 3.0. I believe this is the second or third figure that's come out on that line. I believe Bumblebee already came out. I think they have Soundwave coming out at some point too as well. And I believe one more. I'm not sure if it's Starscream or who the heck it was, but I believe there are two more that are on the way. So there are a bunch of reviews already out of this, and overall I'm pretty happy with it. About 2 months ago, folks started getting putting the reviews out. I believe they were, if I remember correctly, a few folks were saying that they were pre-production pieces, but generally they're production pieces. Based on what I saw in the video that they got, and then what I have here, it's the same thing. And so close to release 2 months out, they essentially got production pieces. They're not pre-production. It's pretty much the same thing. Not pretty much, it's exactly the same thing we have here as far as accessories and everything else, and I'll go through that with you. I'll do some articulation as well, which is something you want to be careful with this because you don't want to break it, especially things around the hip joints. You want to be careful you don't overextend and whatnot. But either way, I am pleased with this figure overall. I think it's awesome, but there are about 2 or 3 things that really bother me about this figure that could have made it amazing. And those of you who already have this on pre-order, I don't think it's a deal breaker, but we'll get into it. And I'm gonna leave him in this pose for the next shot on the other side, and what I'll do is just let him spin around, and I'll kind of pan the figure over and show you what he's about, and maybe a couple poses, get the articulation in, and then I'll do some other things and kind of tell you what my gripes are with this figure overall. So let's get into it. Alright, so the first thing I want to show you is the art box. The art box is awesome. I know there are some folks out there that like to display the art box behind their figures or next to them, if you have the space, mind you. And this is an awesome art box. I like the pose and the style in which they kind of overlaid it. It's awesome. It's definitely a cool box. I don't have the space, unfortunately, but if I could somehow shrink that cover down to a D12 size shelf or shelf compatible, I would not mind using that as a backdrop to the figure for sure, because it's like I said, I like what they did here. So let's kind of get over to the main attraction, shall we? So let's get over to the Optimus. And I know looking at this, folks gotta be like, yo, that is awesome. What possible gripes could you possibly have with this figure? As you can see, man, they did an incredible job. There's like 53 points of articulation on this thing, and when I do the articulation, I'm not going to do all 53 points because that would take a very long time, but I'll give you not a very long time, but I'll give you an overall idea, of what you can do. And but overall, like I said, they did an awesome job on this figure. As you can see, the weathering on this, sorry if that's going out of focus there, is really good. The paint work on here is really good. And I know a lot of people know 3.0 is often hit or miss when it comes to certain figure lines, but their Transformer line, they've generally done a pretty decent job on. And as you can see, they really did a great job on this, for the most part. So I'm going to ruin kind of one of the gripes, or kind of spoil one of the gripes that I have right now. And one of those, and some of you may agree, some of you might not, and this gripe is literally over millimeters. And what the gripe is, and I will show you as I zoom in here, is the actual head. So some of you are going to say, no, you're wrong, it's fine. And my gripe is that the head is actually slightly undersized. And I'm telling you, it's by millimeters. It is by millimeters this head is undersized. And some of you are going to say, no, it's fine, but trust me, I went back and I watched the film. I re-referenced it like 20 or 30 times, man, looking at the video. And I'm telling you, something was just off right off the bat when I was posing this thing and looking at it in a standard museum pose. And that is, again, I believe because the head is slightly undersized. I mean, I'm telling you, it's not significant, very significant, but I don't know if it's just me, man. I tend to nitpick sometimes, and I think it's just slightly undersized. And again, it's by millimeters. And like I said, I don't think it's going to make or break it. As I said, this is an awesome figure still overall, and I don't think it's going to kill a lot of people's choice in pre-ordering it. And after all, it's Optimus Prime, man. They did a really, really good job on this. You know, the Autobot symbols are done very well. Paint's done very well. And that's not real glass, unfortunately. At least I don't think so. I believe it's plastic on the windshield there. But as you can see in this thing, man, I have no quarrels with the paint application, and as far as the detail, they did a really good job. And if you're a Transformer fan, you know, it'd be great. And those scenes from Cybertron in the Bumblebee film, that battle was amazing. A lot of people, and I'm one of them, said they should have a film solely based on Cybertron. And if it's all CGI, hey, it's okay. I thought the CGI in that film was pretty badass. But when it's all CGI, especially on a world like Cybertron, you know, it may seem a little odd. There are some people out there that'll complain that it'll look too animated. But, you know, it is what it is. But when you have the Transformers mixed in the real world and the CGI now, especially in Bumblebee, they look fantastic. CGI is amazing. So let's kind of move into the next pose I'm going to give you. Or actually, you know what I'm going to do? Let's just do the articulation now, and we'll kind of wing it after that. We'll see what else I'm going to do from that point. Alright, so we're going to get right into articulation. I have him in his little what pose. So shoulder-wise. Deltoids, like I said with this, just be careful overall just posing this guy because things are going to kind of easily get in the way. So shoulders can go all the way up to about here. Just be careful you don't hit the head. Below what would be, I guess, the medial deltoid, you also get some flexion here too as well. Articulation, you know, whatever word you want to friggin' use. You know, obviously the same thing bilaterally. The shoulders also, these components will go up slightly, as you can see. These also articulate, give you more kind of dynamic posing options. Head obviously goes all the way around if you want. Well, not all the way around. The neck joint has some restriction, you know, to the right. It kind of gets in the way of the collar here a little bit, but it's not too bad. But the head, if you want to go all the way around, of course, do your Reagan Exorcist thing, sure. But are you going to want to do that? No. Obviously, you get, turn them to the side for you. You know you're going to get 90-degree bend, even more actually than that. You get some wrist flexion in the joints. Hands are easily replaced and interchanged rather. It's not a big deal. The arms also rotate around bilaterally too, and you have that at the elbow joint, and you have it right below the medial deltoid. Again, I know it's not a deltoid, it's a machine, but I need to kind of give you guys markers, or at least for myself. So you get the rotation here too as well, and again you get it here too as well, and that is bilaterally. So knees, legs, all that fun stuff. So what you're going to want to do, if you're going to be putting the leg up, you know, you're going to want to pull these out a little bit first, you know, to save yourself some trouble, and you get a pretty good bend at 90 degrees. It's not too bad, almost quite 90, maybe not exact, but it's pretty close. You also get flexion there and here too as well. So 3 different points, right there and right here and there. So 3, 1, 2, and 3. The foot too as well. You guys can see this. You can rotate to this way. You can twist it in. You can twist it down or push it down and push it up slightly too as well. So just be careful with that. Don't try to overdo it. You don't want to break the damn thing. And again, that's bilateral too as well. You also get some torso abduction and adduction. And I'll show you if I don't friggin' break the damn thing. I think I have them, you know what, I think I have them extended back already. So you can go down to about right there from the torso, as you can see. Kind of rotate him around for you, so you're getting all that. And then again, I think I had it, he doesn't really go back that far, so, you know, to about right there. You know, that's pretty much straight up. You know, that's what you get. And then, you know, again, there's 53 points of articulation. I'm not doing them all for you, but giving you the overall layout, and that should, again, inspire you and should give you an idea of basically what you can do overall. The legs, if you're gonna put them out to the sides, so you're gonna wanna, again, when you do these, especially when you're doing the legs, you're gonna wanna have the arms out of the way. Put the side flaps up, put these up too. The ones in the back also come out to an extent as well. So if you know you're gonna be messing around with the legs, just pull these things out, man. Do yourself a favor. Make it easy on yourself. And what the hell were we doing? Yeah, I'm gonna show you the split. So we can get those out pretty far, as you can see. So that's not bad. Not bad at all. And because it's a machine, you don't have to worry about splitting fabric. Ain't that nice? You know, you Hot Toys collectors out there. And go back down. As far as rotation though, not much. You can get about right there. I mean, maybe you could get some more, but I'm not gonna risk it. And then turning inward, you know, really that's about it. So I wish you could get a little bit more out to the side, you know, as far as the rotation of the hamstring and the quad, man, but, you know, unfortunately that limits you, and then that limits some of the poses. So if I had some complaints on the articulation, that would be what it would be predominantly. You know, some more internal, external rotation of the quads here at the hip would be nice. So overall, that's it. Like I said, I'm not going to do all 53 points with you, but that gives you kind of an idea of what you can do as I flap that down. See, like I said, if you're not careful, you break something. Luckily, that's the direction it's supposed to go. And while I have this here too, I'll show you. There's a piece here, so you guys are probably wondering how the hell he's hooking onto the stand. So there's a little piece right here that comes out. It's already out. All you do is take it out, and what you're gonna do is then take this, and then that goes in right there. You know, it's pretty simple. You're not gonna have a really big problem, you know, doing that. And as far as the stand, hopefully this is not going out of focus. If it is, I'm sorry. You know, people are going to try and like ram this up if you're not looking at the instructions to move it up. All you do is basically just pull it out from the side. Just watch, it's probably going to give me some problem. Just like that, and then whatever angle you want, you know, if you want it up like that, if you want it down, mid, whatever. And then there's a little flap right here. Hopefully this is coming in focus for you right here. That goes up, and you can move it up, and then wherever you're happy with it, all you do again is take that, push it down, and it'll stay where it's at. And then as far as this piece right here, so let's move this up all the way. Again, I hope this is coming in focus for you guys still. You want to, let's see if I remember, this piece right here, just push down and it goes basically down. You know, it's simple as that. So that's about it as far as articulation. I'll show you some quick accessories too. And it's not a lot, but it's enough, you know, for the character. And it's basically all you need. So I'll show you that on the other side as well. Okay, so accessories, you get this blaster, and there's a nice metallic paint on that. It is definitely not die cast, and that was something I actually probably didn't even mention in the review at the beginning. This thing is die cast, and it definitely has some weight to it. So if those of you who are wondering, you know, is this die cast or is it all plastic? It's die cast as well, and you can definitely feel that, you know, when you have it in your hand. This is not die cast though. This is just plastic, and you know, the more die cast they put in, you know, the bigger something is, smaller, whatever it is, you know, that will dictate price. But it's a nice metallic paint job on it, you know, it looks good. It gets the job done, it carries through the look that they're trying to pull off. You know, it's good. And as far as the hands, you get some open and closed grip hands. As you can see, this hand is to hold the gun, to hold his blaster, his cannon. And you obviously get some closed grip hands too as well, as you can see here. And you get two of those, one's already on the figure. Decent paint app and weathering on it. Nothing that special, but it's exactly what you need. So good job overall. Another open hand. And another, maybe slightly more relaxed, as you can see. Another more flexed hand for dynamic posing. As you can see the metal weathering on there. Hopefully that's coming through for you. Again, decent job on paint. And what some would call a use the force pose hand style. It's a shame they don't give you a pointed finger as opposed to just this, but yeah, you can still pull off some cool stuff though with that. And that's about it, guys, as far as the accessories. You already saw the stand, so I'm not going to bother showing you that again. And let's get into what my gripes are. Alright, so this is going to be my second gripe. So those of you looking at this are probably already going to know what I'm going to say. Scale. So when 3.0 marketed this figure, it's technically not they don't label it as a 1/6 scale figure. It doesn't say 1/6 scale, at least I don't think so, anywhere on the box. The advertisements when the promos came out, you know, everything basically said it stands 11.2 inches in height. So, you know, if we're talking true 1/6 scale, this guy is already not where he should be. And, you know, I wanted to use another machine, you know, kind of character. I could have used a human being, you know, which honestly I'll probably show you as well too anyway, why not? But, you know, the scale it's really bothering me, because those of us who are going to get this figure, we're 1/6 scale collectors, right? We're going to be posing this most likely in a DTOF or with our other 1/6 scale figures, and I'm telling you, man, and this is not going to bother everybody, but it bothers me. He should not be bigger than him. You know, I would have gladly paid the extra money because I know the scale would have been a little bigger. I would have liked to have seen him, you know, 11.2 inches, and I think they're saying up to this point right here, if I'm correct. I think this is the 11.2. An extra inch and a half, honestly. You know, if they really wanted to do it, make him 14 inches, 13 and a half, you know, or even just that extra inch in scale as far as width and height would have made this thing look fantastic. I mean, even better. So if I have this guy and I already put him in my DTOF, you know, I come in and I look, the other figures make him look, it takes away from it. It makes him almost look ridiculous, drastically undersized. And he should be, you know what I mean? I would have loved for him in scale to have been up to here at least. Slightly taller than RoboCop, maybe up to about here. You know, up to this level. Would have been nice. A little wider, again, just proportionate scale increase, bringing it up to like maybe 13 inches, or even an inch and a half more. Bring it up to 12 and a half from the 11 inches that it stands, or the 11.2 inches. But like I said, if you're going to keep this on a shelf with just the Bumblebee DLX figures from the film, it might not look too bad. But then again, if you have a DTOF with other 1/6 scale figures, they look undersized. Like, it's just off. And it takes away from the Optimus Prime. It really does. Like, I don't know what to put him in there with. Like, I'm probably going to end up putting him in with Yoda. My Star Wars stuff, which is going to throw off, you know, the vibe of the collection a little bit. I mean, I have everything kind of mixed up right now anyway, because I haven't really devoted some time since I moved out to, you know, to the new state I'm in, to really put things where they should. But he's just going to look off. Like, as you can see, just standing next to RoboCop, looks completely bizarre. And what I'll do is actually grab you know, since I'm standing here in front of the display case, grab another figure, a human one as opposed to a machine. We're going to remove RoboCop out of the equation. And we'll put our Batman here. And now again, you know, look at that. Now I'm going to come around to the other side to look at it. That's because I haven't had it up against the Batman figure. Man, it looks weird. Optimus Prime should tower over Batman. over a human natured figure. And it looks, I mean, you look at it, and I'm looking at it from this other side, he looks so undersized as far as height and width, and it makes the head again look even smaller. And you know, and initially I said, you know, the head's maybe undersized by maybe slight millimeters. It might be, again, I think it's millimeters, but maybe by a decent amount, to tell you the truth. Maybe initially I was thinking maybe 1 or 2 millimeter, again, in kind of scale, all the way around the head, essentially. That was the difference, but it may even be more. You know, again, just look at that. Like, it doesn't look right. And if I had this standing next to one of my regular 1/6 scale figures, it's going to look completely bizarre. And people are going to be like, why does Optimus look so small? It just, again, the aesthetic of it just doesn't look right, guys. It really bothers me. And I know they didn't market it as a 1/6 scale figure, technically, you know, but 1/6 scale collectors are going to be going, or purposely going after this figure because it's close to 1/6 scale. But it's not a 1/6 scale version of him. You know, a human, you know, Optimus Prime is huge, and I'm not asking for a comparable size. You know, you can buy a 1/4 scale Optimus Prime, which I've had, and they look amazing. I would have just liked him to be bigger, at least a little bigger than a human 1/6 scale figure, or the RoboCop, or you know what I mean. You're getting the idea. Just in scale, just a little bit more of a presence, man. I mean, another 1.5 inches, bring it up to 13, like I said, 12.5, 13. 14 if you really wanted to do it right, and he would look massive and amazing at that scale, and especially in die-cast would look incredible. And it would, and again, like I said, the cost would go up, but I would gladly have paid it to have a better figure. Like again, this, it's just, I can't say it enough, just totally out of scale. So that is one of my biggest gripes. Probably, honestly, the biggest one out of all of them, because I'm a 1/6 scale collector, and I want things to look on par. I mean, even if it was on par with him, I think I'd be better. If it was at least the same height, and again had the width and the scale of a traditional 1/6 scale figure, it would have looked a little bit better. At least if it was on par. I mean, again, just compared to the human figure, the Batman, he's undersized. And it just doesn't, again, it doesn't make sense. And that really bothers me. It's not going to bother a lot of people, but if you're picky, you know, when it comes to that, you know, that aspect, like I am right now, it's definitely going to piss you off a little bit. So that is my second gripe. The biggest one, though. The head was the first one. The second is definitely the scale. And if I had a third, obviously it doesn't transform. It would have been nice if this guy transformed, but honestly, I'd rather have him in this form, in his Autobot, full Autobot extended form, as opposed to the truck, because you can do a lot more with this. It's more dynamic, and it just looks a lot better. So that's kind of what I wanted to show you as far as that. Those are my two big gripes: undersized head, and just the scale in general, man. It's just off. If I were to put him next to my Harley Quinn that I have over here, Harley Quinn would be taller than him. And even though he's wider than Harley Quinn, she would still look as if, you know what? Let's bring her out. Let's bring her open, or the door open, not pop the girl open. I don't want to sound like a serial killer. So this is her on a stand, obviously. So I'm going to come around the side and see what she looks like on the stand, because obviously it's going to give her more height. And let's get her focused over this way a little bit. So already, you know, she's going to be taller because she's on the stand. And I don't know if I'm going to get her to be able to stand up correctly without the stand. So I'm going to try, though, and we'll see what happens. Maybe. All right. I figured it might be a little bit worse with the shoes. Sometimes Hot Toys figures tend to balance well, but not all the time. So I'm going to come around the other side and kind of look at this with you guys. And once again, Optimus looks out of scale again. So it like, I can't, like, it just looks ridiculous to me. It just absolutely looks ridiculous. You know, like, even against a female figure, she's still taller, you know? And not by much. I mean, honestly, the head is probably about the same size as, you know, on par with the exhaust pipes. But she makes, again, him look extremely out of scale. And honestly, even though they're somewhat the same height, if you're going from the exhaust pipe barometer, essentially, to the top of her head, he still looks out of scale. He still looks small compared to her for some reason. And again, those extra inches would have really made a difference, man. So I'm not going to bore you guys anymore with that. I've complained, and I think I complained a bit enough. So, you know, those are my gripes with this. I'll show you guys one more pose, and maybe even show you, you know what I'll do? Before I even do that, I'll put him in the detolf with, you know, just a couple human figures, and just to give you an idea, and I'll actually back up a little bit and show you again how off it looks in scale. It sticks out like a sore thumb, and I will show you that on the other side. Okay, so here we are. I wanted to show you a single detolf shot, kind of what I'm talking about, again in scale. So look at him. Now, so this is a wide shot of kind of, and I'll back up here a little bit more, trying to trip over my own, with all the other figures that I have. And again, I have some stuff crammed in some of the other cases. I usually like to keep 2 figures per shelf. That's usually a pretty good aesthetic to have. And I have, usually, like you see down there, I have 4. That's only because some of those figures were in where he was. So as you can see already, Optimus should be taking up a lot more space than that. Like, it almost looks like I have a 7-inch figure in there. When you look at kind of the overall dynamic, and I'm trying to give you the overall dynamic of kind of what I would see, he just looks off. It almost, like, compared to the other figures that I have in here, again, it looks like I have a 7-inch figure in there. It just looks so out of scale with what I have. And then when you zoom in on him, look, it just looks totally, like, again, just, he looks so tiny. I mean, look at all that, look at that gap. Look at that gap. I mean, he should be coming up another 2 inches. Another 2 inches in scale, in width, height. Again, just that global increase, he would look amazing. He would dominate the shelf. And that's how it should look. And he doesn't. It's just like, oh my God, man, it just looks so off. And again, I'm gonna put a figure next to him, and I'll show you, and I'll use one of my Terminator figures just so I can keep it kind of sci-fi, because I don't have any other 1/6 Transformers. So, and I'll show you what that looks like. Alright, so now since I don't have any other 1/6 scale figures, I would obviously want, if I wanted to display him, again, I like the aesthetic of usually 2, no more than 3 per shelf. So if I wanted to display him, I would display him with another machine, sci-fi machine-based character, you know, Terminator or the RoboCop. And again, just look at that. It looks fucking ridiculous. Like, Arnold Schwarzenegger, man, he should not be dominating the shelf next to Optimus Prime. It's just absurd that it's like that. Again, if you have these characters from the film and you're planning on collecting the other ones, you can have them on the shelf and do the dynamic of the display that way. But again, they're all going to be within the same scale, around 11 inches or so. And if you're a 1/6 collector like me, and again, you may not be as picky as I am, but when you go, again, give you the wide shot, you're going to almost look like, you know, imagine 3 or 4 other characters from the Bumblebee film all on that shelf. And then again, with the wide shot, thinking with all the other figures in scale, it just looks off. And you would think that the Transformers would dominate that shelf. And they, again, just couple more inches, man. All about, I can't say it enough, the damn scale, man. And as you zoom in, you know, again, it makes his head look even more undersized than it is when, undersized. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. You know, when you see him next to a regular 1/6 scale figure. Like I said, the head is, again, 2 of the biggest things, man. The scale and the head, it's almost unforgivable. And this figure is fantastic by itself. Photographs very well, looks great, but then as soon as you put it on the display shelf, if you're a 1/6 collector, it just takes away from it. It totally demeans the figure. I mean, you literally, the Terminator figure is overpowering the shelf right now as far as the display presence, and it shouldn't be that way. Optimus should have at least another 2 inches in size, be, you know, again in scale with height, and he would look amazing. This thing, I would have given it a 10, a perfect 10. You know, it's just absurd. Again, looking at this like that, and it looked like that in scale. But anyway, let's close out the video with a final look, and we'll close out. All right, guys. So final thoughts on this guy. So basically, I think the figure's amazing by itself. Posing it, you know, depending on how you display this guy, he's going to look really great. I think 3.0 did an amazing job. But like I said, I have a love-hate relationship with this thing. It's just the way that I want to display this guy. I don't know. I'm going to end up having to have him on his own somewhere, not amongst my traditional 1/6 scale collection, because again, like I showed you in those previous shots, he just looks completely out of scale with everything. And even though he's 11.2 inches high, and that's what was advertised by 3.0, we knew what we were getting. You know, that's fine. I already knew what the size was going to be. But again, it's like, I don't know. I guess I thought that, and I had figures that are 11 inches. But again, I did not realize how out of scale this thing was going to look. You know, once I got it in hand, had it on the display shelf, and you know, had the lights on, you know, in the detail and looking at it, it just looks completely out of whack. And like I said, you really see how small the head is too when you have it next to the traditional 1/6 scale figures, the Hot Toys, or you know, third-party 1/6 figures, you know, whatever they are. You know, as you saw with even putting Harley Quinn next to him, it still looked out of whack. You know, Harley Quinn still kind of dominated somewhat, you know, in a comparison. And that's just, I know I would have gladly paid more money again for a figure that was, again, just scaled bigger. You know, just an extra inch would have gone a long way in scale, in both width and, you know, height. And it would have been amazing. And if they really wanted to knock it out of the park, you know, raise them up to 13.5, 14 inches, it would have been absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. The shelf presence on this guy would have been incredible. You know, so, but it is what it is, guys. So, again, if it didn't have those issues, I would give this thing a perfect 10. It's die cast, it's a beauty, but because, again, for me, my personal opinion, you know, in this, and it's not absolute, set in stone, doesn't have to detract you from buying it. It's just my issue with it, you know, like I said. So I would give this, you know, if I had to scale it from you know, I'd give it a 7 because of those issues. But anyway, that's about it. Overall, though, it is a great figure on its own. So you guys have already picked up some of the Bumblebee already, and are going to get the other ones. It's going to look great. You know, now originally I was going to pick up Soundwave, but honestly, if it's going to be in the same scale as this, I don't know. I might just stick with Optimus, to tell you the truth. But anyway, that's it, guys. So if you know, feel free to comment. If you disagree, it's fine. You know, like I said, it's just opinion. No opinion is absolute. It doesn't have to detract you from buying this thing. So like, subscribe, share the video, and feel free to ask me any questions. I'll try to get back to you, and I'll have this posted in the groups too as well. And other than that, guys, I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. Deuces.